Good morning everybody and welcome to my moment of reflection, and this week I'm talking about the International Day of Development of Sport and Peace. Bit of a mouthful, but I'll explain a bit more about that in a second. So welcome to my moment of reflection. I've been doing these for about 4.5, 5 years now, and it was quite a bad place 5 years ago, and sometimes I would see a picture, a photograph or a quote, and it would just make me do a double take and think, actually, that's just changed my perspective on life a little bit, and actually life isn't quite as bad as it might be. And that sort of photograph and quote is now developed into these videos. I'm trying new technology today, so I really hope this works and the quality is better than it has been previously. As we go through, please do like and share, and especially if there's somebody you know who you think this tip might help, and this moment of reflection might help, then please do share it with them. That would be fantastic. This is all about helping people get to a better place in their lives. So this week's quote is from Nelson Mandela, who said that sport has the power to change the world. And I'm a huge fan of Nelson Mandela. He really was an extraordinary man. But he used football, and football, as you know, is Africa's national sport. And I've been to Africa many years ago, and it's quite extraordinary how everywhere, and I mean everywhere, every street corner, there'll be somebody playing football. It might be one person by themselves, or it might be a whole team of people, and they would play football all day long. And the great thing about sport is it transcends all of those barriers, because anybody can play sport. It doesn't matter what colour you are, what country you're from, what religion you are, what creed you are, your politics, anything like that. Sport should rise above all of that. And Nelson Mandela had a real point about sport. For those of you that know me, you know I'm not a great football player, but I have really seen this take off in the sailing world, and I'm a sailor. So I want to talk a bit about that and talk about some of the experiences that I've had with how sport can change the world. I'm a keen sailor, and one of the things I am passionate about is old sailing ships. In whatever size, preferably the older the better, but any sailing ship will do. And in 1982 I did my very first tall ships race. And it was actually in Liverpool, so it was quite small in those days. It had been going about 20 odd years, it was still relatively new. And for the first time, bearing in mind this is in the middle of the Cold War when I was in the army, this is the first time that we had ever seen and met and talked to Russians and Poles and all those people from behind the Iron Curtain. And it was a complete revelation. And they were going to the pub together and going socialising, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Anyway, I carried on doing lots of tall ships races. Whenever I could, I always went. And the culmination for me was in 1988, so still just before the Cold War finished, although it was approaching. And we went to Australia, and I sailed from Fremantle on the west coast to Melbourne on the southeast coast. And it was much bigger by then. We had sort of probably about 100 odd ships from all around the world, all nationalities. And in every port that we go to, there's always a crew social of some form. So the local port will put on a sort of dinner for the captains, and then there's a big crew social as well. And the particular event that they had organised for the crew was in an athletic stadium, and it was a bush dance, so just like a barn dance, but it was being Australian, they called it a bush dance. So imagine the scene. In this athletic stadium, you have at least 1,000 young people, most of them under the age of 25, and this whole stadium is full of people, absolutely full. And the organisers said it was going to be $5 to get in. Now, a lot of these, especially behind the Iron Curtain countries, didn't have any dollars and didn't have any money either, let alone in dollars. And so a lot of the Western skippers said, well, that's not very fair because they actually don't have any dollars. If we pay $10 each, will you let them in for free? Because that way at least they'd have the income coming in and we could afford to pay that. So we felt it was really unfair to not allow those who didn't have dollars to come into the event, because it was their event after all. And the Australians were so embarrassed, they actually let everybody in for free, which was fantastic in itself. But what was really amazing is we did this bush dance going up and down the athletic stadium. And 1 second you'd be dancing with a Russian, then a Greek, then a Japanese, then a South African, then an American, back to an English, then a Scot, and it just went on like that all the way down the line. And it didn't matter what nationality you were from or what language you spoke, everybody that night had the most amazing time. And it really just illustrated that you don't need to speak the same language. You can actually engage with people and connect with them on a completely different level in so many ways. And that was a really defining moment for me. That was a really, really lifelong experience I'll never ever forget. Just seeing all these nationalities up and down this line as you were dancing up and down. It was just amazing. To dance with a Russian sailor when I was in the army was just absolutely unheard of. So Nelson Mandela has a real point about sport bringing us together. We really must develop that because there's far too much conflict in the world. So I hope you found that of interest. If we haven't met yet, then my name is Mandy Cran, and people come to me when they realise that they need to make changes in their life, if they want to have better health and more quality family time in the years ahead. So would you like more quality family time in the years ahead? For most people, they get to the end of their lives and wish that they'd done something different earlier, because obviously the family is the most important thing that you have, along with your health. So if that connects with you, then let's connect on Facebook and we can have a chat. So next week on Facebook Live, I'm going to be talking about putting the blame onto others, because next Friday is National Blame Others Week, so Others Day, sorry. So we're going to have a talk about that. So I hope you found them interesting. Hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week live, back to my normal time of 10 o'clock. Have a great week.